Have you noticed this strangely polite trap we all fall into? You step into a room pulsing with chatter, the soft clink of glasses, the music, the low thrum of conversation. Eyes meet, there are courteous smiles, a few harmless nods, and then, like actors hitting their marks, the ritual begins. Hi. How are you? Your reply arranges itself without thought. I'm fine. And you? The moment slides past like fog across a window. No spark, no story, no reason anyone will remember you 5 minutes later. A quiet stoic reminder whispers, if you choose to speak, let your words carry weight. And yet, how often do we surrender rare chances to connect by leaning on the dullest phrases in the language? The mind adapts to repeated noise, the whir of a fan, the hum of traffic, the stale greeting, and within seconds, it fades into the background. That's what happens to us when we lead with generic words. We blend into the wallpaper. So the real question is this: how do you refuse invisibility? How do you craft a presence that lingers after the conversation ends? A feeling that something about that person was different. Today, on Stoicism Drive, we're going to unlock 4 small words, 4 timeless tools, that can shift the energy of any room, lower defenses without force, and draw people to you in a way that feels effortless and authentic. Stay with me until the end, because I'll also give you one simple phrase, just a handful of words, that replaces, "Hi. How are you?" and instantly changes the tone of any interaction. If this resonates, if you believe language can shape outcomes in, ultimately, identity, this is your moment to become calm, clear, and unforgettable. 1. Understand the power of truly seeing someone. Picture a tense exchange. Voices sharpen, shoulders lift, the air itself gets tight. Your body wants to push back, to defend, to win. Instead, you breathe, you meet their eyes and say slowly, "I understand you." It feels almost too simple until you watch the weather change. Postures soften, the pulse of the moment settles, space returns to the room. Why does this work? Because beneath pride, beneath irritation, beneath even anger, there is a universal hunger, the hunger to be understood. When people sense you're naming what they feel, the alarm bell inside them quiets. Thought returns, empathy wakes up. "I understand you" is not a trick, it's relief. It's like offering a hand to someone caught in a rip current, guiding them back toward calmer waters. A Stoic approach urges us to know what we mean before we speak, to choose clarity over pride and connection over conquest. Understanding first is mastery of the ego. It says, "I value truth more than winning." Paradoxically, that posture is where real influence begins. People listen to the person who seems most grounded, who refuses to be yanked around by impulse. Practice this micro skill. 1. Name the emotion plus the impact in one clean sentence. I understand you're frustrated because the expectations shifted after you'd already committed. 2. Pause. Let it land. Resist the urge to fix, defend, or explain. 3. Ask one clarifying question. What part of this feels most unfair to you right now? Notice what happens. The moment someone feels accurately seen, their need to shout gets smaller. And as the temperature drops, the conversation can finally move. But understanding alone is only the first step. To build alignment, not just quiet, you need the next bridge. 2. Sense the bridge between minds. Imagine someone sharing a decision that surprised you, a worry you don't share, or a dream you don't fully understand. The reflex is to correct, to point out what they missed, to steer them toward your logic. Resist that impulse for a beat. Nod and say, "That makes sense." These 3 words carry more weight than they seem to. You're not claiming universal correctness. You're acknowledging the internal logic behind their view. Translated, you're saying, "I heard you. I see how you got there." That small recognition is rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful. Humans feel close to those who confirm their inner world, even when they don't fully agree with it. Psychologically, this is the art of mirroring, reflecting someone's reasoning back to them with enough accuracy that they feel safe. Safety matters. Safety creates trust. Trust opens the door for influence. The Stoic discipline here is patience, being generous with others and rigorous with yourself. That makes sense, is patience made audible. Instead of proving you're clever, you prove they matter, and that turns down the volume on defensiveness. Upgrade the phrase with precision. Vague. That makes sense. Precise. That makes sense to me because the deadline moved after you had already committed resources. And that breaks the promise you thought you'd agreed to. Precision transforms a nod into a mirror. When people see their thinking reflected clearly, they relax. They don't need to grip their viewpoint so tightly, because they know you actually heard it. That creates room to add your perspective without sparking a fight. Recognition builds connection, but there is an even more disarming move: validation of what's true. 3. Right. The strength in yielding. Feel that moment when debates turn into arm wrestling matches. You can almost hear the ego whisper, "Don't give an inch." But what if you paused, breathed, and said, "You're right," 2 tiny words, unexpectedly heavy. Why are they so hard to say? Because the ego confuses acknowledgement with surrender. It claims that if you admit someone else has a point, you lose status. Reality flips that script. Validating a true point doesn't shrink you, it strengthens you. It shows you're allied with reality, not with winning for its own sake. People instinctively trust those who can update their view when faced with good information. "You're right" opens doors. It releases the other person from defense mode. It signals you value truth more than triumph, progress more than pride. In the best rooms where real work gets done, you'll hear some version of this again and again. "You're right about that piece." The temperature drops, shoulders lower, ideas start moving forward. Use it with integrity. Overuse makes it feel cheap. Precision makes it feel sincere. Try. "You're right that we missed the early warning signs." Where I'd add nuances in how we build a checkpoint so we don't repeat it. You validate the core truth and keep momentum. The paradox is simple. When you can yield at the right time, you don't lose respect, you gain it. People remember those who don't need to win every inch to feel whole. Yet even validation isn't the final form of connection. Beyond understanding, beyond recognition, beyond yielding to truth, there is a rarer gift, one so scarce in our noisy world that it feels magnetic when you encounter it. 4. Listen. The rarest gift in a loud world. Picture the modern soundtrack. Pings, scrolls, pop-ups, another tab, another alert. In a culture of constant broadcast, the person who truly listens shines like a lantern in a dark field. When you look someone in the eye and say, "I'm listening," you are doing more than confirming sound reached your ears. You are sending the deeper message. Right now. You matter. You have my full attention. Attention is the currency of connection, and most people spend it carelessly, interrupting, rehearsing their reply, scanning for their turn to talk. No wonder so many conversations feel thin. But when you give the rare gift of undivided listening, something opens. People reveal the detail behind the headline, the motive behind the behavior, the story behind the complaint, and that is the level where trust is built. A Stoic practice points the way: restraint, patience, presence. Wisdom is not the speed of your reply but the quality of your reception. People don't bond with a speech, they bond with the felt experience of being understood. The ones we trust most often speak less and hear more, and we leave those conversations thinking, "I could breathe with that person." A simple listening framework. Remove friction. Put your phone face down and out of sight. Signal safety. Soften your shoulders. Angle your torso toward them. And keep your hands relaxed. Reflect once before replying. Name one emotion and one fact. It sounds exhausting that the plan changed after you delivered. Invite depth. What would a fair reset look like to you? Only then add your view. Looks may attract for a moment. Status may impress for a season. But being deeply heard leaves a mark that lasts. To listen is to step out of your orbit and into someone else's sky. It isn't weakness, it's disciplined strength, the very muscle that keeps relationships, teams, and communities from fracturing under pressure. Practice it and something extraordinary happens. People don't just talk to you, they open to you. And once that door opens, who you are becomes unforgettable. 5. The simple phrase that changes everything. You now have the 4 words: understand, sense, write, listen. Each is a key, but keys mean nothing if the door never opens. Most openings begin with the same script: hi, how are you? Polite? Sure. Memorable? Not often. It's so familiar that the mind files it under routine, and the moment evaporates before it has a chance to become meaningful. Here's what to say instead. Tell me something good. Feel the shift. This question breaks the pattern. It doesn't tug someone into a bland exchange. It lifts them out of habit and points them toward light. It nudges the brain to scan for gratitude, for a small win, for a bright detail worth sharing. You become the person who coaxes a story, who pulls gold from the sand. That alone sets you apart in rooms that have forgotten how to connect. Make it flexible and context ready. At work, tell me something good from this sprint. Or, what's one thing that surprised you, in a good way? With friends, tell me something good from your week that you haven't told anyone yet. With family, tell me something good about today that I can celebrate with you. With new people, tell me something good you're looking forward to this month. Then use your 4 tools to deepen the moment. Understand before you reply. Give their story a clean reflection. Sense the bridge. Say, that makes sense to me because, and pinpoint the logic you heard. Admit when they're right. Validate the piece of truth that deserves it. And truly listen. Let silence do some of the work. And resist the temptation to rush in with your own headline. Remember, attraction isn't about chasing people, it's about awakening the best in them. When you create the conditions for someone to reveal something good, you invite them to feel better in your presence. They will link that feeling to you. That is magnetism without force, calm, intentional, and quietly powerful. Practical templates you can use today. To lock this in, try these ready-to-use lines and tiny scripts you can adapt immediately. Openers, replace the routine. Tell me something good from today. What's a small win you're proud of this week? What's something you learned recently that surprised you? Understand, label emotion plus impact. I understand this feels heavy because your effort wasn't recognized. I get that you're anxious, it's a lot to carry without a clear plan. Sense, mirror the logic. That makes sense to me because the deadline moved after you committed resources. That makes sense, given the new constraints. Your choice preserves flexibility. Right? Validate the true piece. You're right that we ignored the early signals. Let's decide how we'll catch them next time. You're right about the cost. The question is where we can trade features without losing value. Listen, invite depth. I'm listening. What would a fair way forward look like for you? I'm here. What's the part you most want me to understand? Use these lightly. Vary your cadence. Let eye contact and pauses do part of the talking. People remember how you made them feel. And these lines are designed to create clarity, safety, and momentum without theatrics. Putting it all together in real moments. Scenario 1, the tense update. They say, I'm overwhelmed, everything moved, and now I look slow. You. I understand you're carrying a lot and it feels unfair that expectations changed midstream. Understand. You. That makes sense to me because the plan shifted after you had already delivered. Sense. You. You're right that we didn't protect you from that change. Right. You. I'm listening. What would help you most right now? Listen. Then, after they answer, tell me something good we can build on this week. New opener repurposed as a reset. Scenario 2, the new acquaintance. Instead of, hi, how are you? You say, tell me something good you're looking forward to this month. They share. You reflect one emotion, one detail, and follow with. That makes sense when you put that much care into it. It's natural to feel excited. The conversation has already skipped the shallow stage. Scenario 3, the disagreement. They present a view you don't fully share. You lead with, that makes sense to me because your experience points you that way. Then, you're right about the risk you named. May I offer a small angle that might reduce it? The door stays open. Why this works, the deeper mechanics. The 4 words work like a sequence of gentle gears. Understand lowers the temperature by recognizing emotion and impact. Sense engages the rational mind by mirroring the chain of reasoning. Right satisfies the need for validation by honoring true pieces. Listen creates the safe container where all the above becomes possible. Add the new opener, tell me something good. It breaks the autopilot pattern and primes the brain toward meaningful content. Together, these moves tilt the interaction toward connection, clarity, and cooperation. No tricks, no manipulation, just presence turned into language. Conclusion. Choose words with power. We've explored 4 small words with unusually large effects: understand, sense, right, listen, and we've replaced a tired opener with a simple, luminous invitation. Tell me something good. None of this is about being clever, it's about being present. It's about refusing to waste the moment at the doorway of a conversation. It's about choosing language that awakens rather than numbs. You don't need a louder voice to be memorable. You need a clearer presence. Start with 1 interaction today. Swap the ritual for something real. Offer understanding before opinion, sense before judgment, truth before ego, and listening before advice. Watch how people lean in. Watch how rooms soften. Watch how your influence grows without force. If this message resonates, join us here on Stoicism Drive. Like this video to boost it to others who need it. Subscribe for calm, practical wisdom each week. Comment below with the words, "I choose presence." And share this with a friend who's ready to connect deeper. Speak wiser, and be remembered long after the conversation ends.